Every day, something dramatic happens in the Caribbean that affects our lives. We'll give you the details. We'll give you the facts on Caribbean Perspective with Eddie Frederick. Host Eddie Frederick.
So glad you can join us. IMF borrowing could cost Trinidad and Tobago 30,000 jobs in the public sector. This story takes the lead in our 1132nd edition of Caribbean Perspective for Monday 14th June 2021. Details after this break.
Hubbard's big promotion is back. Live free for 1 year. Spend $50 or more in any Hubbard's department and receive a chance to win big prizes every month. Property or vehicle insurance for 1 year. Free internet, cable and data for 1 year. Free fuel for 1 year. Free cooking gas for 1 year. Free electricity for 1 year. Free drinks for 1 year. Extra cash account and the big free groceries for 1 year. Promotion runs from April 1st to September 30th, 2021. Live free for 1 year with Hubbard's in association with Solgas, Flow, Grenadian General Insurance, Carib Brewery, Coca-Cola, Grenada Bottling Company, Grenlec, Communal Cooperative Credit Union, Dutch Lady Milk, Promo, Danny and Supreme. Terms and conditions apply.
Welcome back. Government of Trinidad and Tobago maintains it would not be borrowing money from the International Monetary Fund. But if it did, Finance Minister Colm Imbert says it would cost about 30,000 jobs and other financial hardship for the people of Trinidad and Tobago. The fallout of making a decision like that was highlighted in the Senate. Here is TV6's Alicia Boucher with the details.
Finance Minister Colm Imbert is seeking to correct what he says is misinformation among scholars such as economists relating to borrowing from the International Monetary Fund. The Rapid Credit Facility and the Rapid Financing Instrument are the two sources of emergency borrowing available. He says the first is for low to very low income countries and the second for middle and upper income countries such as Trinidad and Tobago.
In order to qualify for the rapid financing instrument, a country has to show an urgent balance of payments need or crisis, which would be assessed by the IMF staff. The repayment period for this rapid financing instrument is 3 to 5 years, so it's a very short repayment period. The interest rate is 1.05 currently, and it requires quarterly payments.
Imbert says many CARICOM countries have sought this approach and some have been unsuccessful in securing these loans. But in addition to the general terms, there are some other stipulations as well, including the submission of a letter of intent. Referencing the letter the Jamaican government wrote to the IMF in May 2020, the finance minister notes that Jamaica committed to having a surplus of 3.5% of the country's GDP. If TNT is to follow that type of structural adjustment in a bid to qualify for an IMF loan, Minister Imbert warns that there would be a lot more hardship as government would have to reduce expenditure to no more than $35 billion to get the surplus from revenue.
If we were to spend $35 billion, we would have to retrench about 30,000 people in the public service. We would have to remove all subsidies on water and electricity. And in the other place, the Minister of Public Utilities pointed out that the cost of electricity in other islands in the Caribbean, particularly Jamaica, is 5 times what it is in Trinidad and Tobago.
He says government would also have to devalue the TT dollar.
Because the other commitment the Jamaican government has given, that they will continue to rely on a flexible exchange rate and limit forex interventions. I think as I speak now, the Jamaica dollar is now about 130 to 1.
He says all countries in the Caribbean that secured IMF loans have had to undertake these measures. It is in this regard, Minister Imbert believes comments suggesting that TNT should follow suit and approach the IMF are misguided. He says if government is to run a balanced budget, it would cause the same fallout in terms of public sector retrenchments.
So it's easy for these armchair commentators to say that, but they are not charged with the responsibility of providing for the service of Trinidad and Tobago.
Alicia Boucher, TV6 News.
Over in Barbados, Guy Hewitt declared that he has stepped forward to protect Barbados' democracy as he declared his candidacy for president of the Dems. More in this Barbados Today news story.
Hewitt, who mere weeks ago had suggested he had no interest in challenging current DLP President Verla de Pisa for the top post, said his love for country has propelled him to take up the challenge and to bring fresh leadership.
Today, comrades, is the first step in the journey to reclaim the soul of our nation. We need to renew confidence in the party of the Right Excellent Era Walton Barrow. We need to restore democracy and social values and social cohesion and create opportunities for economic empowerment. It cannot be, it should not be that our young, unskilled males are faced with a binary choice of drugs on one side or cleaning the public road on the other. That is not good enough.
But President of the Democratic Labour Party, meantime, Verla de Pisa, says she is hearing the noise from her latest challenger, this time coming from within the bowels of the party. But the attorney at law recently said she remains committed to serving the DLP, even as Reverend Guy Hewitt continues to speak publicly on his reasons for putting his hat in the ring and why he cannot stand beside her in leading the party into the next general election. This is internal party politics. Like any family, we have our differences and we move on, she told the Sunday Sun after a voice note with Hewitt was circulated on social media explaining why he could not support the Pisa. She added, in the spirit of good democracy, Guy is allowed to continually change his position, and I remain committed to serving the party as leader. The first Barbadian Roman Catholic bishop of the Diocese of Bridgetown has been ordained.
Reverend Neil Sebastian Scantlebury was ordained as the fourth Bishop of Barbados at an official ceremony at the St. Patrick Roman Catholic Church, attended by dignitaries including Governor General Dame Sandra Mason, Prime Minister Mia Motley, and Chief Justice Patterson Cheltenham. The new bishop served early notice that he intends to pay special attention to helping the nation's children stay on the right path.
It will be one of my goals as I work with the government to help parents to be the first and best teachers of their children in right and wrong. A moral code that will make all Barbadians to be proud of all our children.
The hurricane season is now upon us, so we as Caribbean people need to remember to think safety and be prepared. Avoid venturing outside during a storm or hurricane, especially if there are strong winds. Rooftops and other debris are often blown about and can cause great damage.
You're listening to Caribbean Perspective with Eddie Frederick.
In other news, a woman was arrested for forging a COVID-19 vaccine certificate in Guyana. Gordon Mosley of News Source Guyana reports.
Expressing concern and worry that a woman was arrested earlier this week for forging a COVID-19 vaccination card, the Health Minister, Dr. Frank Anthony, today made it clear that persons caught forging COVID-19 vaccination certificates will face the full brunt of the law. According to the Health Minister, persons need to understand that they are putting their own lives at risk when they decide to forge medical records.
It's a really serious matter. If you're not vaccinated and you then tender some document to pretend that you have been vaccinated, then you should come, face the full brunt of the law, because you're putting yourself at risk and you're putting others at risk. And therefore, we have to take serious action against this.
A Berbice woman who was preparing to leave the country was found with a forged vaccination certificate in her possession after initially claiming that she had misplaced her original certificate. Dr. Anthony said the forgery of vaccination certificates and official documents related to COVID-19 could jeopardize the entire vaccination program.
It would also put our entire vaccination program in disrepute if people are going to try to forge these certificates. So we are on the lookout, and we are going to take serious actions if we find anyone violating, trying to forge documents and things like that.
The Ministry of Health is reminding citizens that the COVID-19 vaccines are free and are available in every region. More than 216,000 Guyanese have received the first shot of one of the COVID-19 vaccines, while more than 75,000 are fully vaccinated after receiving 2 shots. This weekend, the Ministry of Health will be hosting a vaccination drive-thru at Movietown on the east coast of the Marara and the National Stadium on the East Bank.
A man suspected of carrying out a robbery of a Bocage Secondary School student has been arrested. Quick work by the grandfather of the robbery victim, Michael Flood, resulted in the suspect's arrest and the return of the mobile phone. Solange Alfred of HTS News Force reports.
The daily 3 p.m. dismissal of school has been the apparent signal for unscrupulous bandits who lie in wait to ambush unsuspecting students as they make their way home on foot after leaving the confines of the school grounds. On Thursday, one student of the Bocage Secondary School was the latest victim to fall prey to hoodlums as he found himself staring down the barrel of a gun with his attackers demanding his cellular device. However, the success of one of the 2 thieves who perpetrated the crime was short-lived as the grandfather of the victim, Michael Flood, stepped in to ensure swift justice was served.
Upon seeing the photos and hearing the explanation from the teachers and my grandson as to what happened, I realized I knew one of the culprits. Upon realizing that, I immediately got his mother's telephone number, which I know very well, and called the mother to inform her that her son, along with somebody else, had held my grandson at gunpoint and take away his phone.
Students of District 3, especially the Leon Hess Secondary School, have been subjected to a spate of armed robberies over the past 2 months, prompting education, law enforcement, and transport officials to take a multi-pronged approach to ensure student safety within the city limits.
Holding a child up, that means he will be traumatized for how long? None of us knows. Knowing that every day he has to go back to that same area to school. How do you expect him to feel? So now I have to leave my business, leave whatever I have to do, and go pick him up every afternoon from school? This is not right. This is not the St. Lucia that we're supposed to be living in. And because of the criminal acts of a few, and mind you, young boys, that boy is only 19 years. Because of the criminal acts that our children will be afraid to go to school, or we should be afraid to send our children to school, I say hell no.
The grandfather of the armed robbery victim says he placed a call to law enforcement. However, he was determined to retrieve his grandson's mobile phone.
I apprehended him. When I first spoke to him, he denied knowing anything about the phone. I took him, I said, well, look, I have the footage of you and your friends. All right, and what happened? Then he said, okay, the phone is at my grandmother's house, which he took me to the grandmother's house to get the phone. We retrieved the phone, all right? I then took him to CID, where I think, as we speak, he is still there.
Michael Flood alleges that he was berated by the mother of the alleged thief following the apprehension of her son. The grandfather of the robbery victim is calling on parents and guardians to be held accountable.
For any mother to believe what I did yesterday was not right, I say to her, she's a damn hypocrite. Because you know what? This is why this boy will continue with his criminal acts, because he has been encouraged by his mother.
The young victim was robbed at knife and gunpoint.
The incident comes against the backdrop of a rash of armed robberies at small businesses in the capital city. This past week, bandits pulled off a daring daylight robbery at the Hair to There shipping company. Even a pet store was reportedly targeted by gun-toting outlaws. Solange Alfred, HTS News Force.
I am Eddie Frederick. This has been Caribbean Perspective, a whole new approach to highlighting developments in the Caribbean. In the meantime, please continue to log on to CaribbeanPerspective.com for more daily news and more.